Our topic this morning is Remain Strong in Your Divine Center. Paramhansa Yogananda said, instead of being overcome and discouraged when confronted with challenges, thank God for offering you the opportunity to see what you need to learn and to develop the strength and wisdom to meet the challenge. Every day is a fresh opportunity to gather more exploits of heroism. Retire to your center of poise within and commune with God there. He will show you the way. When we say strength, what's a common action? What's a familiar image that might come to mind? Well, perhaps the biceps curl. Here I am with a weight as heavy as I can manage, giving my full energy and attention to lifting this heavy weight. It takes great willpower and concentration. The best that I can do, I am building strength, building physical strength. Now, here's a different kind of image, and that is an asana, a yoga asana. Swami Ananda meditated and he intuited the spiritual meaning behind, the spiritual quality behind each of the major asanas. And with each one, he assigned an affirmation to help us tune in more with that particular quality that pose can give us. And with one of the asanas, he made the affirmation, strength and courage fill my body cells. Now we might imagine, maybe that's one of those asanas that's very powerful and challenging and difficult to do. No, it's the simple, humble Chandrasana, the moon pose. And it's a very different feeling than the biceps curl, isn't it? And let me demonstrate what I mean. You can follow along with me, just staying seated, or you can just listen carefully to the words that I use. As we're sitting, sit very, very tall. Your chest is up. Feel like from the base of your spine up through the top of the head, you're being gently drawn upwards as if with a string. And now as we inhale, bring the arms above our head. Extend that upward movement up through the fingertips even. And then extend that stretch also a little bit towards one side. Continue to lengthen, chest open, heart open, rib cage open. Don't let yourself collapse, but rather continue to lengthen upwards. And affirm, strength and courage fill my body cells. Strength and courage fill my body cells. Now inhale. Lengthen upwards more to your full extent. Exhale, expand your arms outward as you come down. Now, this is a very different kind of strength. We can say that this is a divine strength that Swamiji was referring to in the affirmation. And this strength is not our own, but rather we draw from above, from divine power. And when our consciousness reaches up with our heart open, we're open to receive God's grace, God's strength. And then that strength is what flows through us. And this strength is God Himself, Satchidananda. As the Gita tells us, He alone, the unchangeable Spirit, pervades all and is imperishable. Nothing can destroy His eternal reality. That indwelling self is not born, nor does it perish. Self-existent, it continues its existence forever. It is birthless, eternal, changeless, and ever the same. The self is not slain when the body dies. Tamaki Ananda prays to God, without thy strength, added to my own strength, infusing it, I shall never find thee. Thine is the power, the grace, the infinite glory. Our strength and God's strength together are needed for realization. And Guruji Yoganandaji writes, I will reason, I will act, but guide thou my reason, will, and activity to the right path in everything. We work together with God. We act, and God guides us. And to access that divine strength and power, the first step is our desire, our intention. And with the right intention from our part, everything eventually works out for the best. In energization exercises, the more our intention is strong, the more we concentrate on one body part, the more we draw energy into that body part. The results follow our intention. Here's a joke about results following intention. A woman just lost her husband, and she's relating this to a friend of hers. And she said, my husband was an obsessive miser. And on his deathbed, he said to me, I want to be buried, and promise me that you will take all the money that we have in the bank and bury it with me. And she said, I hesitated for a moment, and then I agreed. And the friend said, don't tell me you buried the money with him. And the woman replied, but yes, I promised, but I wrote him a check. And if he can cash that check where he's going, well, he's welcome to it. She pleased her husband, but she never intended to bury that money. The chief woman disciple of Yoganandaji is Sister Gyanamata, and we often refer lovingly to her. And for years, Gyanamata would visit her guru in his ashram. She never lived in the ashram with him until the end of her life, when she was quite elderly. And one day she came to visit with her husband to speak to Yoganandaji. And her husband looked healthy, but he knew that he was about to leave his body. And he said to Yoganandaji, "I'd like her to come here to live. She feels more at home here than anywhere else." And Guruji answered, "Yes, she has always lived in this vibration." And Gyanamata said later that she came to understand that from the first day that she met Yoganandaji, she felt that she had always lived in his consciousness, that this was her true home. When we see and recognize divine light, divine reality, we need to live more in that light to make it our total reality, our true home, more and more. And this is how we draw on God's strength to help us. Thank you.
Good morning. I'll say a few words also. I'd like to start with a story that I'm sure many of you have heard before. Yogananda tells it in the Autobiography of a Yogi, in the Law of Miracles. He talks about it being 1915 during World War II, and a lot of news was out about all the loss of life, and it was troubling him. And he went up to his meditation room at 4 Garpar Road in Kolkata, and he started meditating. And as he meditated, his consciousness was drawn to a battlefield on the other side of the world. And suddenly he saw himself as the captain of a ship that was making an assault onto a beach. And suddenly that ship was hit with a torpedo, and the ship was sinking, and everyone was on his ship was dying all around him. And just he and a few men were able to swim to shore. And, you know, he got to the shore, and he was so grateful to be on land and not drowning. But just as he was crawling up on the shore, he felt a bullet hit his chest, and he fell over dying. And he was sort of gasping for air, dying. And all of a sudden, he found himself meditating again back in his meditation room. And he said he touched his body, he took some deep breaths, some deep pranayams, and said, "Wow, I'm so happy. I'm actually still in my body. And I'm not dying on a beach, on a battlefield." Suddenly his consciousness was brought back to that beach. And there he was, gasping for air, dying again on the battlefield. And he said, "Lord, am I dying on the battlefield, or am I meditating in my meditation room? Which one is it?" And he said that a voice came to him and said, "What does life and death have to do with light? You are light. Awake. We are light." Let's remember that. Yoganandaji gives us so many lessons and stories and spiritual principles to live our life by. And that one, you know, even though he's a great avatar, he plays that out for us and tells us that story so that we don't forget that we are made of light. No matter what's going on around us, life or death, what does that have to do with who you are? Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra says, one of the main obstacles on the spiritual path is missing the point. And what is missing the point? It's like in our search for God, in our daily practices, on our spiritual path, we're moving towards God, but an obstacle comes, things come up, and suddenly we forget what we're doing. We forget that we're even on the path, and we get sidetracked. And sometimes, for lifetimes, we can get sidetracked. But in this lifetime, we do not want to forget why we're here and what we're doing. We are light. How can I have more consciousness of light? How can I remember that I'm light? How can I remember that I'm the soul who's made of light? In Swamiji's song, God's Call Within, I'm going to just read a few of the lines. Long your heart has played the dancer, long you've toyed with merest shadows of the treasures left behind you deep in your soul. O my saint, wake up, reclaim the light, seek the truth behind all seeming. So how can we remain more in our soul nature, more in the remembrance of who we truly are? Because Krishna told us that life is in fact a battlefield, that our soul nature is constantly being assaulted and pulled down by its attachment to the body and the ego saying, no, this material world is more important than that spiritual world. Our conscious mind is constantly trying to tell us, no, these problems right in front of us, they're more important than reaching the consciousness of light, of peace, of calmness right now. You have to look at these problems. You have to deal with these problems. Yogananda said that's how Satan works. He makes us get involved with him. He gives us problems that we feel we need to become deeply involved in. But every moment we have the choice. Where is our consciousness? Is it in unity with the divine? Is it thinking of others? Is it expanding in service? Is it feeling generous, compassion, loving? Or is it in selfishness, in ego, saying, no, my body, my money, my life is most important of all, and I have to deal with all these problems? And so there's this constant battle going on. But as devotees, as warriors for the light, we have to put out the willingness, the willpower. We have to create the magnetism to keep our center strong. And we know how to do that. Ours is a path of self-realization. It's not a path of passivity. It's not a path of darshan. It's a path of experiencing for ourselves what happens when we use self-discipline to take control of the mind. Let's control our minds. We know how to do that. How do we do that? With affirmations, with chanting, with pranayama, with uplifting it to the spiritual eye, with meditation, with opening our consciousness to merge with the infinite consciousness all around us. But we have to practice the teachings. Let's control our minds. And let's not allow the problems of the moment. There will always be problems of the moment. Yes, this one is a particularly interesting one. But, we don't want to read too much news. We don't want to be too influenced by media, by others around us. Don't let that energy and that vibration pull us down. We need to be strong in our center, pull our vibration up, lift it up, where God can help us, where God can give us solutions. And with that higher vibration and inspiration and solution consciousness, only there can we help others. We don't want to jump into the sea and drown in negativity and pessimism and worst case scenarios. We want to keep ourselves uplifted. We want to take control of our energy. Where is our energy? Is it falling down to our boots? Are we lifting it up? Superconscious living exercises. I am positive, energetic, enthusiastic. I am awake and ready. I am master of my body. I am master of myself. Let's raise our energy. Let's use our tools. We have time now. Most of us have time now. Many, many of us are at home. What are we doing with that time? Let's work on our environment. Let's keep Om chanting in the background. Let's play. Let's play Yogananda's voice. Let's listen to Swami. Let's listen to chants instead of listening to the news and listening to all those who would frighten us, who would help us forget who we really are. There's a quote by Yogananda. You must increase the strength of your body and then increase the strength of your mind. The best way to increase mental power is to try to accomplish something worthy every day. Try to do the things you have been told you could not do. The more you improve yourself, the more you can be a friend to all. When you make up your mind to do something, let the earth and sun fly away, but do not give up. You must have your willpower so balanced that you can stick to a thing until you succeed. Never let life beat you down. Beat life. Beat the material world. If you have a strong will, you can overcome all difficulties. You are a child of God. We must become masters of our destiny and not victims of circumstance. Jaya recently told a story that Yogananda would tell, and that is of a demon who lived in a village, and he was going into the village and scaring people, and he actually killed 3 villagers. Well, the villagers were up in arms. They went to the holy man, who was actually a very powerful holy man, and said, "Sir, please tell this demon, get rid of this demon. Please assert your power over him and get rid of him. He's killing our people." And so the holy man said, "Yes, I will do as you say." So he had the power to summon the demon. The demon came, and he said, "What are you doing to these poor people? Quit bothering them. I will offer the village my protection, and you can no longer bother them. Go somewhere else." The demon said, "As you say." And then a little while longer, maybe a week or so longer, the villagers came back to the holy man and said, "Sir, you didn't do what you said you were going to do. You are not protecting the village. There are people still dying here." And the holy man said, And he summoned the demon back again, and he said, "I told you I'm protecting this village. You can no longer work here in this village." The demon said, "I left this village. I did kill those few people at the beginning, but now they're all dying of fear." Those people had let their centers become weak, their auras, their magnetism become very weak. And in that weak magnetism, fear and negativity and pessimism pulled them down and made their consciousness so weak that other negativities could come in and scared them to death. So we can see the analogy with this situation. We need to be strong. We need to keep our magnetism strong. We either forget who we are and just think, I'm a small, insignificant human with no power, helpless, weak, and run away and just go close up in the bed with the blanket above us. Or we can remember who we are, and we can face this challenge with strength and courage. We can lift up our energy. We can build a magnetic aura of protection around us, around our family, around the world. All of us doing it together. Naya Swami Shivani told some stories also recently of Swami Kriyananda, who in the early days of Ananda, his temple burned down. And, he had given his life to God. This temple was the most important thing he had built, and at that time, it was early days of Ananda. And later on, Shivani had gone into town with Swami, and they went into a store, and the owner of the store had heard about the temple burning down, And Swami was in the store, and he was whistling. Actually, no, he was singing. He was singing. And, to under his voice. He probably wasn't singing a concert. He was just, humming a tune to himself. And the store owner said, "I heard your temple burned down. I can't believe you're singing." And Swami Kriyananda said, "Well, I lost the temple, but I didn't lose my voice." And so Swami was just looking at the bigger picture. He had given his life to God, as all of us need to give our life to God. And she will take away what she wants to, or she can give us what she wants to. And in most instances, what she's giving us are things that will build our courage, things that will strengthen our commitment to remembering who we really are. If the world around us is forgetting who they really are, it's up to us to remember and remind them. Swami Kriyananda in Asha's book writes, "It's a mistake to define Master's love as the nice things he does. He will provide, he does smooth the way, but he also wants you to grow, which means giving you difficult experiences too, for that is how we learn. Treasure those experiences even more than the sweet things he does for you. Yes, there will be temporary pain, but in the end, a power of divine love, more blissful than you can imagine." So Christ said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." Let's put God first. Let's put our soul nature first. Let's put light first. We are children of light. Everyone around you is a child of light. Help them to see that they are light also. Help them to see their highest potential. Pray for them. If you feel that their energy is pulling you down, just look for their highest potential. See them as light. Pray for them. Pull them up into the light. And in every moment, ask yourself, where is my consciousness right now? Am I in the light? Am I facing the light? Or is something else happening? We need to be in the light. We can only serve while we're in the light. We can only love while we're in the light. We can only learn our lessons while we're in that light. And that light is always right now. It's not tomorrow. It's not in a month. It's not in a year. The moments are more important than the years. Let's pay attention to our consciousness in this moment. And I'm going to end with this quote by Yogananda Ji from the story that I told you. This is the last sentences of the story that he was telling you. A dazzling play of light, he asked, "Lord, am I dead or alive?" A dazzling play of light filled the whole horizon. A soft, rumbling vibration formed itself into words. What has life or death to do with light? In the image of my light, I have made you. The relativities of life and death belong to the cosmic dream. Behold your dreamless being. Awake, my child, awake. God bless you.